Hi there, my name is Rob Blenko. I'm a trumpet player from Buckinghamshire. Today I'm here to talk to you about how you'd go about testing out a new trumpet if you're maybe a beginner trumpet player looking to move up to a student or professional model. Here's some tips and tricks that you might want to check out for when you come in to test for your new trumpet. So my first bit of advice is to make sure that you've done a full warm-up before you come in to test the trumpets. And if you want to find out more about how I like to warm up, then I've done another video that you can check out here. So when you've warmed up and you're ready to go, my next bit of advice is to stick with your regular mouthpiece. For those of you who like to play on many different mouthpieces, that's absolutely fine. But I think when you go trying out new trumpets, you want to make it as fair as possible for all the different trumpets you're trying. So with that in mind, using one mouthpiece is going to make that a lot fairer. So the first thing I test when I look at buying a new trumpet is the range of the instrument, just to see where all the notes sit and making sure they're sat in the right place and they feel right to me. So what I usually do is start off in the middle of the register and just play around there, seeing what it feels like, and then I'll go down to the lower end of the trumpet's register just to check that I'm happy with all the notes sitting where they should be. And then when I'm happy with that, I go back to the middle register again and then up to the higher register just to see that everything is sat how it should and feels right for me. So when you're happy that the instrument can play all of the notes that you want to play in the range and it's sounding like everything is sitting where it should, then the next thing I would look at is the dynamics and how responsive the trumpet is to your airflow and what you're doing to it. So I'd always start off with a mezzo forte, again in the middle register, and just play as you naturally would, and then see when you increase the airflow, how the trumpet responds to that and how easy it is to play louder and how easy it is to play softer. And just see where, if that's something that's similar to your beginner instrument maybe, or it will probably be even more responsive. But if it's not responding the way you're used to, then maybe that means that you should be looking at a different model instead. So I'd just do something simple like this. After you're happy with testing the dynamics of your instrument and how responsive it is to that, I think another main point to focus on when you're trying new instruments is to check the intonation of it. All different instruments are different with the intonation, and there's certain different nuances that you'll find as you progress up to the student and professional models of trumpets, that there's certain things you can do to make sure the intonation is absolutely bang on. So what's really important before you start the intonation process is making sure you've tuned the instrument correctly. So if you haven't got a tuner with you, I'm sure the shop will be able to provide you with a tuner, and just sit there and make sure that you are bang on in tune with your tuner. When you are happy that you're in tune, then it's time to check the intonation of the instrument. So I'll always start off on a low C on the trumpet, and I'll check that that's in tune. Bearing in mind that when you tune your instrument, it's always better to have two people there to make sure that when you haven't got the tuner in front of you, you're not then bending the pitch to try and make it correct to the tuner. You're blowing a straight note down the end of the trumpet and adjusting the trumpet to the tuner. So when you're happy with that, I always start off on a low C and check the intervals from there and check that they're all happy and in tune with each other. and so on, going up the major scales, minor scales, chromatic scales, playing every single note that you can on the trumpet, just to make sure that the intonation is exactly where it should be. My final point for testing trumpets is to just check if it's comfortable in your hands, and if you like the weight of it, the distribution, and when you hold it, it's naturally there. So the differences you find on trumpets is the gap between the bell and the third valve slide. And this model here is great because for me and my quite big hands, I can fit it all in there. Some trumpets have a bit less of a gap there. So make sure that when you are holding it, it is comfortable and all your fingers fit in place and it feels nice to hold. Because if it doesn't, then that's probably another sign that you should be looking at a different model. I hope my tips and tricks for testing trumpets have helped you out. And if you've got any questions, then please do ask away in the comment box below. And I look forward to seeing you next time.